All right, welcome in everybody to the July 16th edition of Falls County Ware Podcast. Charlie Turner here, back with you as I return from parts unknown, if you will, with that stupid ass COVID virus. Along here with Chris DiCarlo and John Rustino. Gentlemen, thanks so much for holding shit down the last few weeks. Man, we had some great guests along the way that I unfortunately missed. I want to say thank you to King Kalua, Jannard Soli, our first return guest in history, right? And
Yep.
pretty awesome stuff, guys. So enjoyed those interviews and enjoyed the shows. And again, thanks for holding it down while I was sick, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And, this is what we're about, right? So, and I believe we have a great guest today, Charlie.
Absolutely. Speaking of return guests, not only is this gentleman a return guest of the show, he is a return of the first ever guest in show history. We've come a long way since then. As you see, we're no longer in like a little studio. We're just kind of streaming here and doing our thing and doing it each and every week and rolling along here. But we are pumped to have our second ever return guest in history. And again, it was our first ever guest in show history, and he is a part of the Wrestling Legends Network. He is the host of the Wrestling Legends Network, along with All Star Wrestling, and he is Mr. Adam Parsons. Adam, thank you so much for joining us on Falls Count Anywhere. How's it going today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We're pumped to have you back here on the show. I know things with us have grown since we've last talked to you, and I know things with the Wrestling Legends Network has grown since we've last talked to you, which was like last November. Can you tell us a little bit about the wrestling? If any fans that are not familiar with it, Wrestling Legends Network and Wrestling All Stars that you host.
Yeah, so the Wrestling Legends Network is an app. We have an app on the Roku channel. It's on Fire Stick as well. It's $3.99 a month. Right now, there's about 1,500 hours of classic wrestling. Southwest, the IWA that Eddie Einhorn and Pedro Martinez ran in 1975, Dick the Bruiser's promotion, the Sheik, Detroit Big Time, Portland Wrestling, Polynesian Pro Wrestling, and I'm going to probably leave out a few. Vancouver All Star, the Tom Coast promotions. There's a lot of different variations of classic wrestling on there. There's stuff from the 50s in black and white from the Dumont Network, which is like the first basically national pro wrestling television show. There's a couple hours of it on there as well. Potho's ICW. So there's a lot of different variations. It's basically everything that is not on Peacock is on there. Also, on top of that, since the last time I've talked to you guys, we now have 27 new titles that are playing on various streaming platforms on the Roku app itself. I think we have 20 or 22 or so are on Tubi. There's a couple that are on Plex. And now the Roku channel with Classic All Star Wrestling, which has been a nationally syndicated show for the last 2 years, and they'll finish up this year. It'll actually finish up next January. Um,
Awesome. Yeah.
Nationally syndicated on television. It's in 158 million homes in the United States, about half the country. But the Roku channel took a look at it and they really like it. So season 3 is going to be exclusive only on the Roku channel. So they're
Awesome.
actually paying for it to be produced and everything. So it's really cool. Yeah. And then we have Classic All Star Wrestling Super Show. I think we did 12 of those, and Larry Sabisco is my co-host on that. So those 12 will play just streaming. They will not play in television, and should maybe get up there by the end of the year. I'm hoping they do. But now with Roku taking season 3 exclusively, they may just take those 12 shows along with season 3.
That's pretty awesome. I was going to ask you about that. Being able to sit down with Larry Zabisco, the legendary Larry Zabisco, and host that classic All Star Wrestling show. What was that experience like sitting down with Larry and kind of listening to his wrestling stories?
It was really cool. I got to spend 2 days with him, and you're not just filming; you're getting to talk behind the scenes and go out to eat and do all that stuff. I picked up from the airport, so you get to know a guy over 2 days, and we've actually met once before, but I was a little kid then. But super nice guy, very professional, and it was really my pick. They'd kind of asked me who I wanted for a co-host, and I said, well, I think it'd be nice to have someone that has some commentating experience, that'd be able to host something and have a little bit of a background on everybody. So we were kind of going through, and if you really think about it, other than just simply because of longevity, other than Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, and Tony Schiavone, you probably couldn't find someone still alive or still active in professional wrestling that, from that aspect, has as much name recognition as he has as a commentator outside of those three guys. So it was really cool. It was really cool to be around him. And he lives right down the street from Terry Taylor. So this is kind of like a little leak. No one knows this yet, but coming up soon, we'll be doing an interview with Terry Taylor as well, which will be pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Terry Taylor, one of my favorites. I don't know maybe if I've told this story or not, but back when I was like 12 years old, I got to meet Terry Taylor when they used to do wrestling events here at the Niagara Falls Convention Center, which is now a casino. Um, I was able to, during the matches, you were able to go outside and come back in. And me and a friend of mine went out back to where the wrestlers pulled into the event, and we saw Terry Taylor just hanging out in his rental car. And we approached him, and he was just the coolest guy ever. He, a couple of 12-year-old kids he shot the shit with for like 10 minutes, and it just made our year, man. So, yeah, Terry Taylor is a great dude from what I remember when I was a little kid, and we look forward to seeing him on your network there. And Adam, as I was, when I went onto my phone there and I downloaded your app on the phone, and I was kind of going through like the library that you guys have. It's just fantastic. Just to name a few of like the collections you have: the Von Erichs, Terry Funk, Bruiser Brody, Randy Savage. I mean, some of that footage is just so classic, man. And then when you have Terry Taylor on, are you going to be talking about various wrestlers or just his career in particular? Or how does that work?
So it'll probably just be a sit down interview about his career. So one of the things that I did with Larry when he was here, we did the first episode, and it'll be maybe 7 or 8 episodes total. I love podcasts. I love listening to wrestling podcasts. I listen to a lot of them. But the one thing I don't like is there's a lot of times where in the podcast, they're talking about things just to fill time. And I just want to get into the meat of the whole thing. So do I think Larry Sabisco could have a great podcast? Absolutely. Do I think people want to listen to his stories? Yes. Do I think people want to sit there and do a watch along with Larry Sabisco about some WCW pay-per-view in 1996? Maybe, because he might be able to give you some insight. But overall, I think people just want to hear, with some guys, not all guys, I think people just want to hear about the main things in their career. I don't think so much that people want to hear him comment on some TNA episode that he probably doesn't remember one thing that happened from 20 years ago. So what we've done, and it'll be on the Roku channel or Tubi as well. Roku hasn't made a decision whether they want it or not yet. It takes some time for them to get through all that. If not, it will probably most likely end up on Tubi. It's called Adventures and Tales from Larryland. So what we started with, I have every recorded match that Larry was ever in. So I was just it starts in the very beginning of from his childhood, growing up in Chicago, moving to Pittsburgh, meeting Bruno, starting to wrestle there in studio wrestling. Then he goes up to Vancouver and he comes back. It's just literally from the beginning of his career to the very end of his career, but they're done in sections. So that was all leading up to 1980. So when he comes back in, episode 2 will just be about 1980. And then after that, we'll go on to him going into the AWA, Dangerous Alliance. And we'll go through his career step by step by step. But I think sometimes, to put it as, I listen to Jeff Jarrett's podcast. As to put it out, he would say it gets a little bit too granular on some things. It's going through his career, but going through with a little bit more of a broad brush, to where we get really granular on things. We talked about Vancouver wrestling for probably 30 minutes, and most people probably never even knew that he wrestled there. So we get granular on things, but I want to get granular on things that pertain to him. I don't necessarily want to talk to guys about some pay-per-view that they, I know sometimes on Bruce Pritchard's podcast, they'll cover pay-per-view, and he's like, well, I wasn't even working there at the time. Right. I came in a month later, so it doesn't really pertain to him. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I listen to his podcast. I like it. But that's kind of the idea with Terry. It'll go through his whole entire career. And it was a great fit because he's been either in WCW, TNA, or WWE for the last 30 years consistently. So he's got a lot of backstage stories as well. But we'll also go through his career. And then with the Memphis footage we have in '83, he was there a lot. With Jacques Goulet and him were a tag team, and they feuded against each other. So there's some matches will be in there along with some interviews, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, Adam, I got a question about Larry since we're on that subject. He married and still married to one of Vern's daughters, or was it the daughter that did the ring announcing in the AWA in like 89, 90, or is it a different daughter?
What was her name? Do you remember?
It's at the top of my head, I can't think
If
of
you
it.
said it and that's the name, her actual name, I might remember it because he said it a couple times. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to ask him. But as far as I know, I could be wrong. As far as I know, they're not together anymore.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he just lives by he lives by himself in Florida, and he spends his days on his back patio by the pool watching Perry Mason on his TV. That's what
living
that's
the
what he's
dream right
usually
there.
doing whenever he usually calls me or something. That's usually what he's doing.
Adam, you've been such an integral part of this show, because from when we had you on the first time, and the fact that you've been, kind of mushroomed from there, some of the guests you've been able to get us. And first of all, I want to thank you for that. One of the we still laugh about the Rip Rogers interview, because Rip Rogers has absolutely zero filter, and it was awesome. And when he came on the show with us and just kind of, I mean, there was no, like I said, no filter with him. There was no holding back with him. Do you still are you in regular touch with Rip Rogers, and how's he doing, man? Because what a character that guy is.
Actually, I just talked to him yesterday for about 20 minutes. We talk at least once a week. Sometimes we talk more than that. There's spurts. We might talk for 3 or 4 days in a row. But yeah, he's a character. And now it's getting to the point where, um, he'll start a story and he'll go, "Now, if I've told you this one before, just tell me, and I'll stop telling you the story," because we've just talked so much. But he's a really great guy. He has no filter at all, but he's taught me a lot about wrestling without even necessarily training me. He's just taught me a lot about wrestling, just telling me stories or telling me how things went or where things were. And he remembers everything. It's unbelievable. He was just telling me the other day about a match he had with Marcus Bagwell when he first started in Global. And and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this is the finish, and he messed this up, and he came to the back, and he was like, "Man, that was great. It was so good. You taught me so much." So I just typed in that match on YouTube, and it was on there, and I watched it, and it happened exactly like he said it happened. It's
It's
amazing.
incredible.
Like
Yeah.
he says such a memory that he remembers everything the way it went, and it's he's super entertaining. He has a podcast right now, actually. Um, it's if you go to YouTube and subscribe, it's Lilas Studios with Rip Rogers. It's Lilas Studios with Rip
Okay.
Rogers. So everyone needs to go subscribe to that because he talks. If they have no script, they just go off the handle. Like Rip just starts talking
Yeah.
with the
I've
host. So
seen
it's
it.
really
Yeah,
cool.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And one of the things that I didn't realize, and I'd love to have him back on again as well, is there was a story with him and Randy Savage at a Waffle House or something like that. I was watching one of his old interviews, and
In
he went into
Nashville.
detail about that story. Craziness, man.
Yeah, and that's funny because Dutch Mantel just told that story on Facebook the other day, and he wasn't even there. But he tells his variation of the story, but he's not there. But yeah, Randy ends up being Randy, and the police were involved, and dogs were there, and he's standing up on the counter, and he looks over at Rip and says, "Throw me a knife," and Rip throws him one, and ends up being a butter knife,
Butter
not even
knife.
a steak knife. So it's Randy Savage with a butter knife against the police and a couple of dogs.
Yeah,
It's
definitely would
crazy,
love
just
to
the
have him
stories.
back and tell that story on our show, because I was listening to it on an old YouTube video or an old interview, and I never realized that story was a thing, and then when he was telling it, I was like, man, that's pretty awesome stuff, because Randy Savage, any story with him is appreciated to hear, because he's such a legend. And then, like
Yeah,
I
Right.
said, Rip Rogers. Yeah.
but then Rip went off against Sting. I mean, that was great, and that should have been
Yeah.
blown up.
Yeah, he hates Sting.
Yeah, he made that
He
clear on our
can't
show.
stand him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always used to like make fun of him because he wore pink. That's what he said. Heels are supposed to wear pink, you idiots. That's what he just can't stand Sting. He should really have. I mean, he was on the Pat McAfee show a lot when Pat's show first started.
Oh, wow.
And Pat had a deal on Sirius Radio, I think, for a while, and Rip was on that show a lot because Rip trained Pat. Um,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
okay.
yeah, because Pat's lives in Indy, after he played for the Colts, and he was drunk one night and bought a wrestling ring, and then was just talking to his friends about it, and he actually wanted to get trained. So they, one way or another, they got him linked up with Rip. And he talks to Pat maybe once a month or something when Pat's not busy. But yeah, Pat had him on his show a lot when it first started. I believe it was on Sirius Radio, and it's a quote, so I'm not saying it, but he Rip is banned from Sirius Radio because he called Batman a fag.
Oh boy.
Sirius Radio's banned him for life. He cannot be a guy.
Batman's not even a real character. My God, he got in trouble for that. I mean, he's not a real person, right? My God.
Yeah, it's so
Sensitivity in 2022, right?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
funny. Now, Adam, let me ask you about this. Well, first of all, you mentioned Pat McAfee, who I thought did a great job at WrestleMania in his match, and now he's got a match coming up against Baron Corbin at SummerSlam, so we look forward to that too. But what I wanted to ask you about was Ric Flair returning to the ring later this month. How do you feel about Flair getting in there? Do you plan on watching it? And we still don't know who his opponent is yet. And I've heard some of our guests have said they're a little worried about him. I saw a quote by Jerry Briscoe saying the guy's got a damn pacemaker. I hope he's going to be okay. And I've heard others that say, well, the guy's 73 years old. He's wrestling is his life. He knows what he's doing. How do you feel about Flair getting back to the ring and as far as like who his opponent might be?
If he wants to go back in the ring and wrestle, I can't say that he shouldn't. It's his life, and he does have the pacemaker. But I know my father promoted a show one time. It was one of the last. Dominic DeNucci came out and wrestled. He was like 75 or 76 years old, but he was still in great shape, like Flair is. I mean, Dominic was in the back doing free squats and push-ups and sit-ups before he went out there, and I just saw Flair do 62 push-ups in a row the other day. So he's in good shape, and his arms look good. And he's working really hard, so I can't say that he shouldn't. If he can do all that, he can certainly wrestle in the ring.
Yeah.
However, I mean, I guess, the business is what it is. The toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't get it back in. It's 73 years old. Is anybody truly believing that he should ever win a real wrestling match? No. And will he win? Maybe not. He might not. He may just go out like he did in 2008 with Shawn Michaels. But as far as an opponent goes, I almost feel like it would have to be another legend. That couldn't be a younger guy, even though him and Jay Lethal have been training, just because I don't think that'd be credible, for a 35-year-old guy to wrestle a 73-year-old guy, and that 73-year-old guy can compete with him for any longer than a couple minutes. But I think it's a cool thing. I mean, I really like, I'm a big fan of Ric Flair. I think he should have ended his career the right way, and I think he realizes that, so he's trying to do it again. But the one thing I did not like was his promo the other day when he said, at the end of it, 9,000 people are going to stand up and they're going to say that he screams the F word. And he goes off on this tirade where he kept just cussing through the whole thing. And he's never done that in his whole career. He's never cursed in a promo because he's never needed to. He's always been able to come up with creative things to say.
Yeah.
And I thought that part of it was a little unprofessional. But overall, do what you want with your life. Bob Armstrong won the wrestle till he was 80. So if people were okay with Bob Armstrong wrestling at 79 years old, then they should be okay with Ric Flair going in the ring at 73 years old, or Tommy Rich wrestling at the He is, and the Rock and Roll Express are going on their farewell tour, and they're in their 60s. I mean, so Lou Thesz wrestled in like 92 against Chono. He was like 74, 75 years old. So I don't know if any of it's wrong. I just think that
it's kind of risky, I guess, right? At that age.
It's risky with the pacemaker. It's risky with the pacemaker, but the fact that you don't have an opponent yet announced,
That's right.
By this time, I'm thinking they don't know who the opponent's going to be.
Yeah, I sent to John there. I don't know if you have it available, John. If not, no worries. We were speculating that maybe Chris Jericho might be the opponent. Chris Jericho cut a promo on Dynamite. Oh, there we go. And then Ric Flair called him out on Twitter. Living legend in your own mind. Shawn Michaels wannabe. Flair never will be. Where'd you get that cheap suit, by the way? Kind of called out, Jericho specifically there. Got us to thinking, is it going to be Chris Jericho?
When I saw that, I kind of thought maybe that's what they were going towards. and maybe they'll get to it, but they better hurry up because they've only got a couple weeks now. It's the 16th. That's on the 31st, so they've literally just got 2 weeks from today, I guess. I thought being in Nashville when they did the press conference, and everyone always called him kind of the Ric Flair kind of wannabe. I thought it was going to be Jeff Jarrett. Was my guess. Being in Nashville and he was there at the press conference, I thought maybe they were going to lead up to something with that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like they're going to. But with 2 weeks left, I just don't see how you're going to get that match put together. I mean, the guy coming into that match has to have some heat and some steam behind him, to make it a reason. It can't just be it's his last match. The opponent is just as important. I mean, if Flair's last match in 2008 was against the Hurricane, I don't think anybody at WrestleMania would have cared just because it was Ric Flair's last match. And I feel the same way about it now. I mean, is that, he's having another match and people are going to watch it? Yes. But the difference in the storytelling and who his opponent is might make me buy the pay-per-view. As of right now, I'm not going to buy it, just simply because it's a stacked card with these guys from all these different promotions, because I don't watch current wrestling now. Most of those guys, I don't know who they are. So the opponent and the storytelling behind it is what would have hooked me, and I just don't feel like they've done much of that.
Well, Adam and guys, as we had Mr. Doyle King on recently, there was speculation about Kevin Von Erich against Rick. And Doyle talks to Kevin all the time. He's retired in Hawaii and enjoying retired life. His sons wrestle. But he said, Doyle King said, Kevin said, no way. So it's not going to be Kevin Von Erich.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to have to be an older guy. And Jericho would be old enough.
I think he's in his 50s now. Yeah, he's kind of like, he's collecting AARP,
Yeah, I mean, he's not. I didn't mean to say that he's old, because he's not. To still be in the ring, there's guys. Half of Vince's roster's over 40, so he's nowhere near too old to be in the ring. But he's been in the game long enough to where his name resonates as a legend that he could pull that off. That it's going to be Flair versus Jericho. So that's a possibility. I mean, that would be actually better than Jarrett, which was my first thought. But if that's the route they're going to go, then it'll be a good match, I'm sure.
Yeah, luckily there's social media to, at least, like you said, with the storyline, there's like nothing right now. And if they hopefully find somebody within the next few days, they can at least maybe get the social media buzz going with that.
Yeah, they at least need to figure it out by Wednesday.
Right.
Because if it is Jericho, maybe Flair could show up on AEW, and that would not that they're getting the greatest ratings in the world, but that would really help them. But if he came on there, that'd be the greatest storyline that they've ever had, because Eric Bischoff said that, and I agree with it. You could take rosters and you could flip them. You could put all the AEW guys on WWE, and you could put all the WWE guys on AEW, and the ratings would stay the same.
Yeah,
because it's all about storytelling, and I don't watch it enough. I mean, I could be maybe right now they've got the hottest storylines that they've ever had. But the times when I did watch, they never made me want to watch next week. And Vince McMahon, regarding everything that's going on right now, got me to watch WrestleMania, which I haven't watched in about 5 years. And I watched it, and he made me want to watch it. And when they brought Austin back, they told a storyline that led up for weeks on end that he was going to wrestle Kevin Owens, and they put some steam behind Kevin Owens. And by the time Kevin Owens got in the ring, man, he had got like the greatest heel reaction of the whole pay-per-view, like the whole 2 days. It was Kevin Owens. Like, I was like, man, this guy's like, for the first time in his career, I've realized that he's really good. Like, he's been able to carry this whole thing by himself and talk by himself. And Austin was never there until that night, but he got such a great reaction when he came out. Like, he's the one that sold that and made me want to get it, because I kept seeing on social media in different clips where he was doing such a good job of making me want to go watch it. And of course, Austin performed great. I mean, he took a suplex on the concrete and did all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. But that's the difference. That's the difference in, even though people can say that he's not as good as what he used to be, that's the difference in how good Vince McMahon is at getting people to watch and buy a ticket versus what everyone else is doing. And like I said, AEW has never once ever made me, nothing I've ever watched, they've ever made me say, oh, I've got to watch it next week. or I've got to go buy the pay-per-view, or at least watch or somehow try to find a way to illegally watch pay-per-view. I've never
Right.
watched one pay-per-view. I've barely watched a show. I just don't think, so Flair came on there against Jericho, it'd be like, it'd make me, I would watch it the next Wednesday to see what happened. And I haven't watched it in like over a year.
Right. Well,
So-
kind of like a two thing segue here. Adam, as an opponent for Flair, again, would brought some heat over the years. We know they kind of had a verbal feud, and then they stepped in the ring finally in 2000 in WCW. But Shane Douglas versus Ric Flair, right? And then also we're going to let you talk about Shane Douglas and our last week's guest, right, guys? The King Kalua.
Yeah. Shane would be able to pull that off as well. Shane has name recognition. There's no doubt about that. I don't know if nationally compared to Chris Jericho, just because of longevity and consistency on TV, how many people are going to know Shane Douglas versus Chris Jericho? I don't know. But Shane would certainly be able to pull that match off, and there'd certainly be a storyline there, just like there would have been if they chose Jeff Jarrett. There'd be a lot of backstory to that. Whereas Jericho Flair, there is no backstory, but it's like, oh shit, it's Jericho Flair, so let's watch it. Douglas and Jarrett would actually have a little bit more backstory to it regarding Rick's career, unless Jericho is going to try to pull. I'm taking your spot as this, like, I'm the best guy of my generation. You're the best guy of yours, which I would not put Jericho as the best guy in his generation, but he could pull that off as a heel, thinking he was. Right. But yeah, Shane would definitely be able to pull it off. And then July 28th at the Taylor County Fair in Grafton, West Virginia. Shane Douglas will be there. He's wrestling long-time East Coast wrestler, King Kalua. Tom Brandy, who wrestled with Salvatore Sincere in the WWE, Mick Foley, and Shane Douglas. Like, those four guys kind of all traveled around together on the East Coast when they were all first starting out. And of course, Mick Foley, Shane Douglas, and Tom Brandy all ended up getting, a WWF contract at some point through their career.
Yeah, Dean Douglas.
Yeah. And then Kalua was just as talented as them, but for whatever reason kind of slipped through the cracks. So there's a little bit of like a professional jealousy there. So they're going to get to wrestle each other for, I think they said, the first time in like 20 years. So that'll be super cool. Bushwhacker Luke will be there as well. So I don't know how many people are going to be within watching this, because I know you guys are from Niagara Falls, but you get viewers everywhere. If anybody's within driving distance of Grafton, West Virginia, fair admission gets you to ringside. So you just have to buy a fair admission ticket. I think it's $10 or $12, and you get into the wrestling show for free. So can't beat free wrestling and some funnel cakes.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
John, do you have a question or comment for Mr.
Well,
Carson?
just my comment is on the podcast side. Adam, thank you for everything. I think I told you that on as a text. I mean, this is awesome for pushing us. Kind of, it's like that thing where in wrestling, where you put someone over, or whatever you want to call it, and you've done that for us now twice. So I just appreciate you being with us, and I just sit back and listen to the stories, and not much to say, but I love it. Been a fan forever, like the two guys on the other side, and thanks a lot.
Hey, it's no problem. I just think wrestling works a lot better when everyone tries to help each other and no one has an ego. And there's guys that have helped us do the same thing. Dave LaGreca at what is his radio show called? I just lost track of it. Busted Open.
Okay.
Dave LaGreca at Busted Open Radio on Sirius. He really helped us in the very beginning. He did an interview with Jerry Jarrett. He didn't ask for anything. It kind of really helped us out, and he's getting ready to do another one soon. So to kind of help us put over the Tubi and the Roku stuff. And he's like every day on Sirius Radio. There's like thousands of people listening to him every single day. So
Yeah.
He does it, and he's selflessness, and he's a super good dude. And there's a lot of guys like that in the wrestling business, but sometimes there's a lot of them that aren't. And I just am trying to be one that is, because you never know what could happen by helping someone.
Yeah, well,
Adam, we appreciate it, brother.
On that issue we had on our show, and they have a show, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out, that's on YouTube and on Facebook. Mr. Jack Lord was on, and what he's got going now is if you send him a shirt, like a WLN shirt, or if we send him a shirt, he would wear it and promote you on that episode. And but it's got to be a 5X.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
big-
he's a big guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my algorithm on Facebook or not, but every time that used to come on, I used to see it and I'd watch a couple minutes of it, but I haven't watched it lately. But yeah, him and Ronnie West, 2 kids, 2 sons, do that pro wrestling inside and out. Excuse me. I haven't had any coffee yet. And they
Yeah.
and they do a pretty good job. So
Well, Adam, again, man, we want to just, thank you for, I know we kind of reached out last minute and you agreed to do the show with us. And man, we appreciate you, man, from the start of our show up until now, the contribution that you've been able to make to our show that maybe not everybody's aware of. When Chris reaches out to some of these guests, it's because of Mr. Adam Parsons, because, we made contact with you and kind of mushroomed from there. So we appreciate you for that. And fans, if you haven't checked out the Wrestling Legends Network, like I said, I was able to download it on my phone this morning. It's just an awesome library of classic wrestling footage. Like I said, the Von Erichs, Randy Savage, the Funks, just so many wrestling legends and legendary matches that you can check out. And of course, classic All-Star Wrestling. We're looking forward to the Terry Taylor stuff and whatever you got coming down the pike. We're definitely going to talk about on our show and let wrestling fans make them aware of it. And again, Adam, we thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us, man.
hey, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Guys, like I said, man, we just, we started this podcast as just a couple of wrestling fans, and Chris and John, you guys have done a great job reaching out. Chris, you've done a great job with reaching out to these guys and getting these guys on our show. And of course, we're hoping to add some more as we go along.
Yes.
Good stuff.
The future looks bright, and indeed it will. The next couple of weeks, and even in the month of September, we got some guests lining up, and should be good. So yes, always stay tuned right here on Falls Count Anywhere, through right here on Facebook, on Twitter at Count Anywhere, on Spotify, and of course on YouTube. But we are vamping our YouTube.
Oh, there we go.
And,
There's our Twitter account. Yeah.
Yep. And we're working on vamping our YouTube, where it's going to be one name and have all our shows, not just this show. So that's in the mix, and we'll talk about that in the near future.
Yeah, if you're watching us, like you said, Chris, if you're watching us on Facebook, give us a follow on the Falls Count Anywhere page. We've got over 1,000 followers. We're always trying to build that. We always appreciate the views. But let's check in with our sponsors. We've got to do a quick break here, and we'll be right back. We got wrestling clips on the way. We got some Chic Beats on the way. So stick with us here, and we'll get to that right after this break. All right, welcome back. Falls Couldn't Anywhere podcast. Charlie Turner, Chris DiCarlo, John Rustino, all in the house here. Well, in our own houses, I guess. But guys, one thing I wanted to mention before we get to our Chic tweets and the rest of our show here, AEW has announced that they're going to be making their debut in Buffalo, New York on September the 7th. Tickets are going to go on sale on July 22nd. So in about 6 days, AEW will be making their debut here in Buffalo at the KeyBank Center. So look forward to that. I don't know if you guys have any intention of going. I might be checking that out. Looking forward to seeing what AEW is like live. I think Adam had touched on a little bit as far as AEW kind of pulling you in with storylines that they got to get better at. And I would agree with that. But I got to say, lately, AEW has been pulling me in on some of the things they've been doing. As we know, Cesaro, who is now Claudio Castagliano or whatever the heck, some long Paisan name there, that he's now wrestling under. But anyway, he's going to be wrestling, doing a program here with Jake Hager coming up. So they're kind of using the WWE background with those two guys to build up that storyline. Hager calling him out, saying he was never a WWE champion and this and that. Got a pretty good crowd reaction and whatever the case. I just wanted to say that mention that AEW is coming here and look forward to a live show of AEW and see how that goes. So yeah, we look forward to that. And of course, we were speculating, of course, as well on the Ric Flair match. As we said, it's 2 weeks away and we still don't have an opponent. Chris, maybe we can get you in there, man. Let's get you trained up.
I don't know. I do got some kind of heat with them, right?
Yeah, right.
But anyway, even though that little bit of heat, I've always been a Ric Flair fan since 1980. That's what kind of caught me on Mid-Atlantic, like Bob Backlund, Ric Flair. Hogan was even around, but nowhere around. So of course, always been a Ric Flair fan, and I'm hope he wins. I hope he will be okay. Yes, Charlie, that leads into 2 pay-per-views. What a wrestling weekend that's going to be in 2 weeks. Saturday the 30th, we have WWE SummerSlam.
Yep.
And then Sunday the 31st, Ric Flair's last match card that is available on Fight TV.
And I'm guessing, guys, they must be really struggling to find someone like Adam said. I mean, because by now you'd have already been, that'd have been a huge part of it. Pending, like, I know it wouldn't be, but if it was Hulk Hogan or something, it would be unbelievable. The
build up, the storyline, even a couple of weeks ago, like a month from the pay per view. So the end of June, they should have had an opponent. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. That's why I'm thinking. Like, hopefully, with social media, they can get something going because they got to get moving quick. Because as of right now, I mean, even as Adam said, I mean, who are you pulling in at this point for that match if we don't even know who the opponent is?
And then to draw the heat against Flair and say stuff about him for the fans to react.
And it's got to be someone we know. I'd assume they're looking to get every fan, not just the guys like us that might know. Like, they need to know. I don't know. I feel like it'd be someone you need to know. Yeah. Nationally, but.
Well, and think about it. I don't know. I mean, the demand for the fans, because Charlie, you've been to the Nashville Fairgrounds there with NWA TNA.
Yeah.
They such a demand, they now moved it to the municipal auditorium for a bigger fan, capacity. Probably what? I don't know, 12,
the old
20,000?
Yeah, the old TNA Asylum got to visit back in 2003, I believe it was, 2004. That was a pretty cool experience. Yeah, but it was like a giant warehouse that they were wrestling out of, basically. Kind of similar to what, at the old studio we used to hang out at there. There was a giant room. Looked like a warehouse where they held, I think it was ESW that they had the event there, but or one of the independent promotions there. But yeah, similar setting. And now they're going to a bigger arena. Things have certainly changed.
And that sold out without even knowing that opponent, which so I don't know. Yeah.
I know one guy I'd like to see get back in the ring. I don't think he's physically able to do so.
Me too.
I want to just lead us right into our next segment here with the legendary Iron Sheik. Man, I'd love to see him put one last clutch on somebody, but I don't even think he's got a tough time walking to the fridge these days. But the Sheik, as we know, loves to chime
we
in
go.
on the Hulkster. We don't go a week without not hearing about Hulk Hogan and how the Sheik feels about him. And he kind of did a little play off here off of Sir Mix-a-Lot as being the song of the summer. But in this case, Baby Got Broken Back by Sheik Beat the F out of Hulk Hogan a lot is the song of the summer. So who knew that was the song of the summer, man? We look forward to rocking that in Sheik's musical debut.
I love it.
Well, you know, I gotta say though, real quick, you know, I jumped on Twitter to also promote and look for guests for our show, of course, mainly. And of course, I saw the Iron Sheik says something every day I'm on there, but I don't know how you do it, Charlie. You pulled the great ones. It's hilarious.
Well, you know, most of his tweets are just different ways of how you can go F yourself, and he gets really creative with that. So I try to pull the ones where he gets a little bit more specific on, of course, with Hulk Hogan, and then some of the other ones we have for this week here. Here, I guess he ran into Dolly Parton, but it's always good to see you, Bubba. Still number one forever with me. Calling Dolly Parton Bubba is not going to get you a date, Sheik, but I agree. It's always good to see Dolly Parton.
God.
Wow, yeah. Can you imagine those two meeting though?
Oh, man. Yeah.
That would be out. Yeah. All right. Here's the next one.
Wow.
And then, you know, he brings up a good thing here. Bavada asked the question, name a sports franchise. I mean, this wasn't a sports franchise. That deserves better. Whatever happened to the Dunkaroos? They deserve better, Bubba. You guys remember Dunkaroos? There they go right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of
indeed.
forgot about this. And then when the Sheik brought it up, I was like, oh, yeah, Dunkaroos, man. Those were great.
Yeah.
What happened to those?
They were something, right? That's just fraud. I said to Robin, I know what they are, but I've never eaten them in my life. And was that frosting? That's all that is on the side? You're dipping?
Something. They had chocolate ones, too, that you could get. And
Yeah,
I think
something
they
like
could be
that.
good.
yeah.
Well, I gotta ask real quick, guys. Was that Dunkaroos? Did the Sheik get that? Was there a local like A or AA basketball or baseball team that he got that name, or just?
It's a great
No,
name.
Yeah, the
I mean,
basketball team.
Basketball, yeah.
Dunkaroos, right? Maybe from Australia, right? The Dunkaroos.
yes, that would be really good.
The
Combine, like,
Winnipeg
the whole
Jets.
kangaroo thing, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember those? The Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
anyway,
Good stuff, man. The Dunkaroos. Yeah, but yeah, we always love hearing from the Sheik. And, man, like I said, I wish he could get back in the ring because that would be an awesome
Oh, my
bump.
God. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Just 10 years. If it was just 10 years earlier. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that. I bet you. What a great. Yeah.
I mean, talk about health, right? I mean, Sheik's 80. He just turned 80 this year. So, yeah. He's doing the right thing staying at home and just
Yes.
commenting on Twitter. Well,
Gotta
guys,
love
we're gonna roll our clips for the week here. Or am I
Yeah,
jumping
Chris.
into something? Okay,
Yep.
I'm a little rusty. It's been about 3 weeks.
Oh no.
each and every week here we do, of course, our classic clips, we call them. And of course, they're from my own personal collection, vault, if you will. I do not sell them. I do not trade them. And I just pull a couple for our show here each and every week. And this week we got some gems, actually, guys.
Here we
And
go.
John, let's roll it.
Unmute yourself.
Yep, here we go with some classic St. Louis / Ric Flair here, though, guys. This is like a rare thing. Him and DiBiase.
You guys
The way the
have
guy's saying DBS.
Yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, you know, back in the day, too, a lot of people don't know about this because they didn't see like promotions like this. And also, DiBiase had a little feud with Harley Race because DiBiase always wanted to be an NWA heavyweight champion, but they never gave him the chance or you know what I mean? So he had kind of little
Yeah.
snip-bit feuds with like Flair here, as we see, and with Harley Race. But
He was like
Classic
the
Flair.
$100 man here.
Oh
He
yeah.
wasn't nowhere near the $1 million man at that point.
He's going to
Well,
work.
yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
a lot
Oh.
of people, DiBiase had a long career that a lot of people don't know, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Uh-oh, and here the ring fills up, John.
Oh. And Flair going low. That was good. This is great.
This was in the Donnybrook breaks
Yeah.
up.
A Pier 6 brawl.
Yeah.
Oh
There
boy.
he is, the classic robe there from 1983 Starcade.
Oh, and the 10 pounds of gold.
Yes, the 10 pounds of gold in tow. This was actually in a hotel ballroom. That's why it's called Wrestling at the Chase.
Oh, this is
Oh,
look
awesome.
at that.
And then
Harley
he
Race
goes
there?
after Race. Race was talking trash to Flair about Race wanting to be a 7-time heavyweight champion. So Flair
Oh.
just going to work on him. But
You knew
Harley
this wasn't
Race,
gonna-
another one. What a career, right? The king of wrestling.
I'll tell you what.
Oh.
You know, and this question was posed by Mr. George Shire on Big Arch's wrestling page, talking about tough guys in the business, and Haku and Harley Race, he said, are basically at the top of that list as the two toughest guys. Guys you do not want to mess with. Harley Race, for one, looks like you'd have to hit him with a cinder block to hurt him. I mean, look at his head. I mean, the guy is just a brute.
Yeah,
look at that.
for sure, indeed. I can agree with that on Haku and Harley Race for sure.
Wow.
Boom,
These headbutts. Oh.
bang.
That. Oh my god. I don't know how you could try to fake that headbutt. That was, you know what I mean? Like wow.
Yeah.
I can't see it
Well, these
cutting
guys,
anybody
they
open.
get some real contact. Yeah.
I can't see it
Sorry,
cutting
Chris.
anybody open, so they must have then turned around and bled somehow or whatever. But still, yeah, well, man, I don't know. He did that a lot during his career to a lot of people.
Quick question for you guys, and then I'll get on to the next clip. Ric Flair, there was this thing on, I think it was on, might have been on Facebook or Twitter, I don't remember. They were showing pictures of him before the plane crash and after. And the thing was, before the plane crash, he was awfully big, like looked like he was super heavy. And then after the plane crash, I don't know, was that a turning point for him, or am I wrong in reading what they were trying to say?
I think so, and yes, I got some clips. We'll have to show you guys. When he started in the AWA, he was kind of bulky. He started with brown hair, and then the plane crash happened there in '75, and it probably did change him. And then I have a clip with him and man, I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. They were a tag team, and Flair had these bottle glasses on and the blonde hair, and he goes, "Woo!"
Yeah, because the point they were trying to make was, if there was no plane crash, there'd be no Nature Boy. I thought that was interesting.
Wow. Yeah. You never know.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but it definitely was a change in his career, I say, and thank God that obviously he was okay, and what a career.
All right.
Yeah, and he's one last quick note on Flair. He was on bad terms with WWE with the man Sasha Banks. No, Becky Lynch used the man Becky Lynch as her character, and that caused some friction with Ric Flair and WWE. But they have patched things up since then. Ric Flair is now back on the opening video for WWE shows when they do the Now, Then, and Forever. They took Flair away from that, and now they put him back on. I guess they're back on good terms. But yeah, just one note.
Because of Triple H.
That could be too, and with who knows? I mean, I'm kind of. Oh, and one thing we didn't talk about as well, I just want to throw this in here real quick, is WWE moving back to TV 14 as of next week on Monday Night Raw, which I don't think we're going to see like a full-on Attitude Era WWE. TV 14, there it is. Yeah, the PG era has ended. According to the dirt sheets there, it's going to be starting this within 2 days, a couple days, Monday Night Raw. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, so my first point, Ric Flair back on good terms with WWE. So that's awesome. I think we're going to do another documentary on him soon, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, the whole TV 14 thing, we'll see what happens if they kind of get a little edgier with some of their content, like make it a little less, nothing wrong with making it kid friendly, but you gotta, Monday nights, there's guys. I remember back in my college days with the Attitude Era, it was awesome.
Real quick,
Yes.
I know real quick
Some
before we head on to the next clip, I watched SmackDown the other day for a few minutes. It was the middle of the night. They were replaying it. Those two guys with the tennis rackets,
Yeah.
I shut it off. I mean, that was a tough one for me to handle.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Brutal.
All right. I'm sorry. Here we go.
That's all right. Let's go. All right, guys, here we are. Some classic footage, another classic promotion that Adam Parsons, our friend and guest today, highlighted on, that he owns the whole territory of the Polynesian Hawaii territory pro wrestling.
Yeah.
A young Buddy Rose here.
Yeah.
Look at this belt, though, guys, as he turns around. Look at it. It was actually a buckle.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. That's right.
Look at that, JCPenney.
That's
No
great.
snaps.
No snaps.
No,
But,
think about it
here
now.
we are.
WWE uses Velcro.
Yeah.
Here we are. This guy was one of the Samoans when they had the three Samoans in 83, 84 WWF. He was Samu. Real name is Sam Iowana, and got an NWA title match here in Hawaii against the Nature Boy.
Wow, even the ring announcer rocking the Hawaiian shirt and everything. It's great.
I tell you. What you
Ladies
hit
and
the lottery when you grew up in Hawaii. Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's what I mean. Gotta miss as a classic fan, right? All the territories back in the day to choose from and watch. Wow.
Yeah.
King Blue is familiar with that. Doesn't he hail out of Hawaii these days?
Yeah, a lot of people. And then they had all kinds of classic matches in Hawaii. Here's another one: Bockwinkel versus Rick Martel, and Bobby Heenan was ringside.
Jeez.
I mean, just the different matches, and all the different territories had going back in the day.
Jeez, look how close the people are sitting.
Right.
Yeah, no ringside barrier.
That's
I love that.
um,
Those
No
in the day
barrier
matches
back
with
in the
no
day.
barrier. Yeah.
And then here we go, a little recent match before the promotion demise was the Freebird, Michael P.S. Hayes and Kevin Von Erich there.
ooh. That's
A first blood match, yes.
That's great.
Michael Hayes still active in the business, behind the scenes WWE.
Yeah, he has been a long time. In fact, I just saw him wrestle back in 95 with Jimmy Jam Garvin, the Freebirds, on that AWF promotion.
If I could go back in time and be the age I am now, put me into the 70s and 80s, whatever, I'll tell you, that'd be the one thing I'd want to do. I'd love. Can you imagine
Awesome.
sit ringside for that? Jeez.
Yeah, no, remember some of the MSG cards with the old lady going up with the umbrella ringside?
Yeah. Well, someday I'll tell you a story about, and I won't do it now, what my own grandmother did across the bridge in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I'll tell you guys another time. She jumped she went after somebody. Yeah.
All right, well, we got one more clip
All right, here we
now,
go.
so let's roll it.
Yep, there we go.
And this is our last clip of the day here. Another territory promotion. Southeastern Championship Wrestling was like out of the Alabama and surrounding area there. And here we have Andre the Giant showing up on TV in that promotion.
Oh, look at that ring.
Yeah, this definitely, that's the thing about the NWA, which I like, is they went back to a studio type form, studio wrestling.
This is so good. Look at him.
And of course, there he is. The Nature Boy was all over. With the 10 pounds of gold.
Oh yeah. That's a beautiful belt, man.
And there he is. There's a little opening of their show, and the commentator, Mr. Charlie Platt.
What a lineup. Yeah.
What do you do? Take that from Billy Red Lions? Don't you dare miss it.
Yeah. He does.
Don't you?
I
Yeah.
love him.
Oh, the old territories back in the day. What great. And here we go.
Ooh.
This is towards the end. This was like 84, 85. And then they transitioned to a different name. They went under Continental Championship
Look at
Wrestling.
this guy.
Austin Idol going to town on I think, Jimmy Golden here.
The guy's dressed like Mr. Peanut outside the ring. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Oh, he's going to get it.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Top hat and all.
Bang!
Oh.
Right to the jaw.
Great.
And yeah, and here we are. You see kind of Arn Anderson getting his
Yeah.
early start in the territory.
Is that Virgil? Oh, man.
Now, well, maybe.
It might have been. Yeah.
I'm fired up around here, and everybody else is fired up. But let me tell you one person.
Double A.
Well, no, that's not. Yeah.
No, that's Randy Rose.
Oh, my goodness. Here
And
we
then
are.
here, look at this crew.
Got the goalie match. This is great.
Yeah, we got the assassin, legendary assassin there, Lord Humongous. What a trio!
Lord,
You know, and as we were, we were talking about Hawaii and just I wanted to pull this up and show this. If when you look at the Wrestling Legends Network, they're part of the reflection a little bit. One of the territories they talk
Cool.
about there is Vancouver, Hawaii, Buffalo. But
Oh, wow.
you can't screenshot it, unfortunately. They block you from screenshotting. I just wanted to give an example of what that Wrestling Legends Network looks like. They have a huge library, Mr. Adam Parsons, that we had on here. As you scroll through this, like I said, Nick Bockwinkel, Shawn Michaels, just some unbelievable Ox Baker, Ricky Steamboat, Jimmy Hart. Chris, you do a great job of bringing these classic clips. Some of these, like some of these promotions I never even heard of, like that Southeast Wrestling promotion there, and seeing Ric Flair and different territories. So yeah, Chris, man, keep those clips coming because a lot of these, like DiBiase coming off the announce table there and brawling with Ric Flair, I've never knew that happened. That was really cool to see.
Oh, there's plenty more.
Yeah,
Indeed.
absolutely.
Well, real
Absolutely.
quick before we segue into the jobber, just to spin off of what we are talking about with the PG era being gone. The only thing I gotta say, and I don't know if a lot of people agree with because back in the Attitude Era we saw some TNA per se
Yeah.
with the women and some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah, we're probably not going to see any bra and panties matches.
Well,
on
I don't
Raw.
know. Yeah, I don't know about that because of what's going on with Vince. He's really in big trouble with this one. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I think something like that. I mean, look, 2022, you got to be careful. Number one, and number two, they've gone through a lot of lengths to revolutionize women's wrestling. They no longer call it the Divas Championship; it's now the Women's World Title. And as you know, the evolution of women's wrestling has come a long way since the early 2000s, where we were getting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I miss it, right? Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler in a bra and panties match, or in a mud wrestling match where they get pretty much naked. I mean, that was awesome, right? Especially, for college kids that we were back then, coming up with the Attitude Era. But I think those days are over. I doubt we'd be seeing anything that risque, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially with Vince and hot water.
Right. And I wonder too. It makes you wonder with everything he's going through, if Stephanie and Triple H have had a little bit more hands-on, if they're not. And we always hear about on the dirt sheets how Vince McMahon is always tearing up scripts an hour before the show, and then the writers are scrambling to get things to work in a 3-hour time slot, for Raw, and a 2-hour time slot for SmackDown. Makes you wonder if maybe there's a little bit less tension with maybe Triple H and Stephanie running things, and a little less of the script tearing, and maybe just going with what's initially thought of. I don't know. Hopefully it's a good thing. I think there's a lot of times where Vince McMahon's a little overbearing. He's got banned words that announcers can't use. You can't call the championship title. You can't call it a belt or a strap. You can't use the word blood, or you can't use the word war. It's just so restrictive. And it's like, and now that they're going to TV 14, hopefully they loosen up on that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I
But
don't.
we got our jobber enhancement talent of the week, Charlie.
Absolutely. As I dig through the archives of these jobbers and enhancement talent, and the way I do it, because sometimes it's just so hard to find. As we've gone through, we've done this how many times now, right? And you know the ones off the top of your head, the Barry O's and the Barry Horowitz and the Lombardis and all those guys. The one I was able to pull up, and how I do it is I'll go to ProWrestlingFightDB.com. That's Pro Wrestling Fighting Database.com. And I'll pull up, like, for example, The Undertaker, and I'll go to like 1990, and then I'll pull up his list of matches because there's a lot of back then superstars and wrestling challenge matches, and you just find whoever they beat the crap out of. So I was able to come across. I went to Stone Cold, and I was able to find our jobber for this week, Mr. Sonny Rogers. Dan Burnett is being his real name, hailing out of Chicago, Illinois. Wrestled a career 40 matches. Now, Sonny Rogers does have one career win, and it did come against Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's Sonny there. Yeah, now Stone Cold, this was an episode of Superstars, I believe, WWF Superstars. Stone Cold came out to the ring, and of course, we were still in that era of these guys just wrestling, guys like Sonny Rogers. Stone Cold had enough of that. As we know, Austin 316 was already born at this point, as you can see him all bald headed and everything there. He was in full Stone Cold mode, if you will. And he came out to the ring and basically said, look, if WWF management is going to keep signing me to wrestle matches against guys like Sonny Rogers, you're just wasting Stone Cold Steve Austin's time. So Austin did him a favor. He forfeited the match. And as soon as the referee raised his arm, Stone Cold just beat the snot out of this guy. And it was absolutely hilarious. If you get a chance, YouTube it, Google it, Twitter it, whatever the case. Sonny Rogers versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sonny Rogers wins the match by forfeit, but freaking hilarious. And even Vince McMahon on the mic, trying to not insult Sonny Rogers, trying to keep make him aware, make the fans aware that he's a worthy opponent. But Stone Cold wasn't having any of that.
That's
Yeah, classic. Those days are gone, but
we love them.
Once in a
Although
while
now
they
we-
do it though. They'll bring in, like they did it with Braun Strowman a few years back. They've done it with that Veer Mahan. He's just like a raging beast. They'll put like some jabroni in there for him to just beat the crap out of and make. But yeah, they don't do it like they used to. But once in a while they'll bring out some local talent to get their asses kicked and earn a paycheck for the night.
That's good.
Well, speaking
I
of
love
that,
it.
real quick before we go here, guys, John, you know this. Charlie, I was talking to somebody last night, one of our friends of the show, Mr. Todd Fisher out of Maryland. He looked up as we were talking on YouTube. Bobby Bass had a career in Canada, Vancouver, Maple Leaf Wrestling, WWF Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Put him on YouTube. Check him out. He's going to be our guest sometime in September. And that should be very interesting. Yep, we can have a lot of stories there, I'm sure. And we're going to ask him about the silent one for sure.
Yeah, as I've stated before, as we've stated before, we're just a couple of fans, so we try to ask these questions from a fan perspective because we got no inroads or inside knowledge of the wrestling business like some of these podcasts you listen to, like Eric Bischoff or whoever, Jim Cornette. Of course they have a foot in the door, so to speak, in the business, and they can give you the inside scoop. But we're just kind of asking questions from a fan perspective, and we hope that it comes across that way because we want to give that perspective from a fan. Being able to talk to some of these guys, and the Terry Sullivans and Gennard Soley, his father Gordon Soley, and hearing those stories of wrestling history, we hope that that's what hopefully keeps you coming back to our show and listening to us. We want to thank everybody who is following the Falls Count Anywhere page. Man, we're right at 1,000 views, but not quite. We're at like 950, 960. Just want to get over that hump, man. Get at least to 1,000 a week. But we appreciate each and every one of you for checking us out.
Oh yeah, it's going. I'll tell you, and one thing everyone can remember: go back and I'm going to start doing a better job with this for our fans. Go back. You can go back and watch Rip Rogers again. I mean, right now I'm going to have to I'm going to read after that. I got to redo that and then clip out what he said about Sting. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
we got to start. I got to start putting it back out there because you can go back. We've been on for so long now. We're almost getting to the year anniversary. What,
Yeah,
October, I
October.
think. So
Yes.
you guys are doing a great job, and I am gonna tell you, I'm gonna find Silent Brian Mackney. He is going to. I need to know if he's. We don't know. We don't even know if he's still with us. I hope he is because we got to get him. And
Well,
you know, if we're
although
gonna get him.
John being silent, I don't know how we would interview him or have him, but this is where we're going to get Bobby Bass to talk about.
I don't know
Silent
sign
Brian.
language for the record, so that ain't happening.
I'm learning. For if Mackney comes on, I'm gonna tell you a big part of my childhood was the silent one. And well, whatever. We're gonna find him. And
Oh, yeah.
We're going to find him and we're going to hear about him at least from Mr. Bobby Bass in September. But also, real quick, our fans out there all over our platforms that we're on, two things. Number one, next week we have a very exciting guest. Real name is Mr. Bill Sullivan, aka the Equalizer / Dave Sullivan. Very worked in WCW 94 and 95. And we can't wait to have him on here next week and ask a bunch of questions and hear some cool stories. And also, we got to shout out and thank our friends at the AWA Unleashed podcast that you can watch on all platforms every Tuesday. But they have a great show and great guests. And Chris Tubbs and Mick Karch and George Shire, those guys are great. They sent us a shout out this past Tuesday, and that was just awesome. You know, I was sitting there and I hear Chris DiCarlo, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, on a national big time level, although our show is local, country, and worldwide. And I appreciate that. But, you know, how would you ever think you're sitting there hearing your name? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right. Yeah. Yeah, that was very cool. Very cool.
And our
They,
show, our show. So a big thank you to them.
Real fast, guys, I just want to say before we sign off, and this is because of what you two guys have done. I know you won't want to take. There's no Elena DePaulo, who we've talked about the kidney.
I wanted to bring that up. Yes, I'm glad
She
you did.
actually had it done. It's that it went through transplant. It took. She's doing good. She's home. And I know there's a little more obstacles ahead, but I'll tell you right off the bat, this is amazing. I actually get a little bit of a goosebump by it all because she is now dialysis gone.
Yeah.
And let's hope, but it's going great. And I was told by herself in a message to thank you guys because she thanked everyone the other day. And you guys were in the thank you, and I'm talking. It's a list from national TV to people in Florida. They were so great, but you guys, day in and day out, she said was unreal, and I want to spread her thank you to you two.
Absolutely. If we had anything to do with helping find a donor, or whether we did or didn't, so happy to hear the news. I saw WGRZ Channel 2 posted it on their Facebook page. And a couple other news outlets. So yeah, it gained a little bit of local news, and yeah, we're just so happy for Elena to be on the road to recovery. She had a successful surgery, as you said, John, and so happy for her that she could put this behind her now and you know, live a normal life without having to think about that and worry about that. Yeah, just very, very happy for her, definitely.
Well, actually, yes. On a quick side note of that, John, Charlie, I recently spoke to her father, and John, you know him as well. And I personally inboxed and asked about Elena, and he said, yes, she is awesome. She's resting and doing well. And I said, that's great. And, you know, maybe someday we'll meet her in a couple months.
I think someday, yes, we're going to have her here for a quick, maybe a couple minutes. And she's going to, when she's get up to it, I think you guys will get to talk to her for a few because her and one thing before I let everything go and pass it back to Charlie, she found out who her donor is too. So that'll be cool when someday they meet. So
right.
Wow.
Definitely. So awesome.
That is great. That is great. Guys, again, very happy to be back here on the show this week. Let me tell you something. COVID absolutely sucks. You know, I don't want to make anything political here or anything like that, but I do believe, I have a strong belief that vaccine helped deter a lot of the symptoms I could have had that first night I was in a hoodie and sweatpants in bed. It was 80 degrees outside, and I'm trying to get warm. I mean, I had the chills, I had lower back pain. It lasted for one day, and the rest of it was just mentally getting over it, knowing it was still in my system, and just trying to get over it, the
Yeah.
fatigue and all that shit. It sucks. Chris, you had mentioned last week staying diligent. As far as sanitizing, wearing a mask if you need to. If you're going to be in a crowded situation, I can't endorse that enough because that virus, vaccinated or not, it absolutely sucks. And you guys did a great job holding down the show the last few weeks, and I'm just very, very happy and grateful to be back with you guys and continue our journey on this podcast. So thank you guys.
Oh,
Yes, not a problem. We're all one big family here, and of course, on all our other shows, right, John, with Citizens United on Monday. Robin has a great show. Robin
Getter,
Rosano
Robbie's
Live
got one.
Yeah.
had a great guest this past Tuesday, and one of our sponsors, Mr. Burdett, there.
Yep.
And John, your show last night, Sport Goal Getters, was great, and of course, we love our own show, right?
Oh, this show.
Absolutely, man.
This show is becoming the crown jewel because the guests and the things you guys are doing, everyone loves it. I hear from people myself I'll have to, you know what I'm going to do one of these days? I got to clip out all of the things that get sent. I get messed inboxes and love this show. So you know what? That'd be kind of cool. I'm going to do that. So you guys won't even know what's coming. On the bottom, you can see
great.
what some of these people say. It'll give you more motivation too, even though I'm not saying you're not motivated, but it really
Well,
pushes.
yeah, some days I'm not. Yeah.
It motivates me when I see it. I'm like, oh my God, there's people out there. Here, real fast. I know we got to go. Robin and I were at a local supermarket here. Couldn't believe the two people out of nowhere come up and say that they watched this. And there's one, I think, the sports show. And it's kind of cool because sometimes when I'm talking to you guys, I don't even realize I'm on. And it's kind of, so I guess I should watch my mouth, but still, it's good.
Nah, fuck it. Just let it
Yeah,
roll.
right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Yep.
Thanks to everybody who took some time to even watch just a couple minutes of us. Again, us as fans being able to talk to these guests is humbling and it's awesome for us. And we thank you to everybody. Again, we see 900 plus views, whether it's 1,000 or not. I don't care. Anybody watching, even just for a few minutes, we thank you. But again, guys, great show as always. And we look forward to our guests coming up over the next few weeks and next week, of course, as well. So we will see you next week, 2:00, Falls Count Anywhere. Make sure to join us, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.